So welcome everyone. It's 7 o'clock UK time. For the purpose of this recording, we today have another great speaker to our Scrum event session. Today we've got Diana Silva speaking to us from Portugal. Diana is a head of remote interactions at Critical Tech Works. And she's today going to talk to us about performance reviews and the issues that we see with performance reviews. So I believe it's a topic quite hot for most of us. Have many different opinions about should we do performance reviews, should we not do performance reviews, and I'm sure we all, one way or the other, have come up with this question, and being, as agile coaches, we've been asked a lot of opinions about it, and there are many different perspectives. So I'm really looking forward to listen to Diana today to talk about that topic. So welcome, Diana. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Paulo, and all the hosts here in the Scrum event. I will now share my screen. So you are now seeing it, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, hello everyone, and so thank you so much for joining today. It's a pleasure to have you here with me. And as Paulo said, my name is Diana, and I'm talking directly from Portugal. I work in a software company named Critical Tech Works, which is a joint venture from a Portuguese software company named Critical Software and the giant and well-known German BMW. And today I will be sharing what we call the mastery process, which aims to create an environment that can, let's say, unleash the power of mastery and excellence inside our company. The mastery process is our approach to support people's self-development, continuous feedback, and proficiency. We will deep dive on this concept today. And why do we call it mastery? Because if we look at the definition, mastery is the ability to excel and experience comprehensive knowledge or a skill in a particular subject or activity. So if someone masters something, they are extremely skilled at it. And where does your mastery journey begin? It starts with you. You are the master of your own career. So you should be the one who better knows your own interests, what you love the most, what challenges you, what motivates you, what takes you further. And you are the driver of your own development path. And as it starts with you, the first step should be to perform your self-analysis. Do you really know who you are, what you need to evolve, to grow, and to develop yourself? So self-analysis helps you reflect about where you are in various aspects of your life. And we can also call it introspection, self-contemplation, self-examination, self-inquiry. It consists on both of our own evaluations as well as other assessments of you. And so incorporating feedback here is paramount. Your own assessment should include personality traits, behaviors, skills, thoughts, and desires as objectively as possible. You have to analyze how you interact with your colleagues, what accomplishments have you been, what areas of improvement do you have. You can see this as your own retrospective, let's put it this way. And use an existing, you can use an existing format if you see it as a retrospective, like start, stop, continue, what went well, what we need to improve, new ideas. You can do a SWOT analysis, the strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats, or you can just storytelling about a period of time. And armed with this information, you are better prepared to make necessary adjustments as you move forward and build a solid growth and development plan. That is, at the end, the aim of the self-analysis. And if we see this as a retrospective, what may we need? You need to find a facilitator. So find yourself a facilitator. And this facilitator is a colleague that you choose and invite to assist you and to help you understand yourself better. So he or she should be a good listener, open, positive, and pose a lot of open questions to help you bring ideas together and connect the dots. The role of this colleague will be challenge you to outdo yourself, to look at things from another angle and to make you go beyond your own perspective. So this facilitator should make it easier for you and help you think out loud. And this brainstorming, we call it facilitation conversation. And so now that you have your self-analysis, you can kindly share it with your facilitator, and the facilitator can read it, analyze it, understand it, and schedule a facilitation conversation. And the purpose of this facilitation conversation is to discuss and brainstorm ways to grow and develop yourselves as individuals, as a team, and as a company. And this can be done one-on-one or in a group. The focus is discussing your draft self-analysis, what do you have until now, and your growth and development plan. And the facilitator's relevant task is to ask powerful questions, to reflect, to challenge and bring different viewpoints. However, and this is quite important, the conclusions should come from you and not from the facilitator. So the facilitation is not about the facilitator, but about a person. The facilitator should have a neutral attitude and create a safe environment to enable the discussion. And if we look to the opposite viewpoint, the facilitator does not need to be knowledgeable about your job, because the focus is to support you identifying your own truth. And usually I say that you have advantage and disadvantage on having someone knowledgeable about your job that can do really concrete and detailed questions, or if you have a complete stranger as a facilitator, and that person will make more open questions, and that will make you reflect even more and bring different perspectives to the conversation. Another really, really important aspect is that none of this is about feedback. This conversation is not about feedback. It should be focused on creating a detailed self-analysis, a solid growth and development plan, consolidating all the feedback that you collected, because once again, it starts with you. So you are responsible to collect that feedback, and that feedback should support your self-analysis, and that is for your own growth. And what to bring to this conversation. So your own self-analysis could be a draft or something more elaborated already. And as I said, may include a SWOT analysis. So you may reflect about your strengths, your weakness, the opportunities that you have in the company for you, what could be a threat in the future. Identify what you do well and what you could improve. And you are, again, free to choose your own format and be creative and try, for instance, retrospective formats like the 4 Ls that we usually know, like liked, learned, longed for, things like that. You should bring your growth and development plan. So you should define short, medium, and long-term career goals and derive on your learning needs. And as a consequence of your self-analysis and your detailed growth and development plan, you should conclude on your own proficiency. And let's see, what is proficiency? We believe that your path starts in your own team and evolves towards the company. As you grow, your impact on others also grows with you, and your influence becomes wider and wider, along with your proficiency. So we define proficiency based on 4 attributes: autonomy, skills, complexity, and influence. And all of them together lead to knowledge. Once you get more and more proficient, your autonomy grows, your skills become more consolidated and have an impact on more people around you. Your ability to deal with complex situations increases, and your influence is more and more visible in a broader acting area. This should be a consequence of your stronger knowledge over time. And how can we transform proficiency in a journey? We see it from follow to inspire. And while one evolves from follow to inspire, their influence also increases from the project, product, team to the organization. In the follow level, so as a follower, you are expected to be focused and have impact mainly in the project, in your own team, in your product, in the context of your team. While in the inspire level, as an inspire, you must combine the high impact in the project with the impact in the organization. And it's worth mentioning that proficiency is not something you can judge in the short term. It is something that needs to be revealed over time and over a reasonable time frame. So proficiency shouldn't be confused with achievements, because achievements are immediate results and proficiency is a long-term behavior. And it is also relevant to mention that proficiency can move in both directions, as we see, forwards and backwards. In a typical forward scenario, a person evolves within the same role. Let's say the proficiency level increases in line with the evolution in terms of autonomy, skills, influence, and the ability to deal with more complex topics. Let's say the example, for example, of rockstar developer, because all of our roles are fancy, so every developer is a rockstar developer. And so inside, as a developer, it can evolve from follow to inspire, right? But nevertheless, the proficiency level may change backwards when, for instance, a person decides to move to another role. And the requirements in terms of autonomy, skills, influence, and complexity also change. And the example could be if you are a rockstar developer and you want to give it a try as a product visionary, which is the fancy name for product owner. Probably you will not be so proficient as a product visionary as you were as a developer, right? Because things change. So you will be invited to review your proficiency on that role. And another important detail is when you join the company, your proficiency level is void until you perform your first self-analysis and reflect about your own proficiency level. And this is one of the examples of something that we have adjusted over time, which also shows that the mastery process itself is constantly evolving. Because instead of having a proficiency from the beginning of your journey at the company when you join, you are invited to decide on your own once you feel ready to do it. And the aim should be the system to calibrate itself and avoid a definition a priori without having sufficient information. Another example is when you change roles, and let's say that you want to work as a again, we can use the same example from the rockstar development, and you are now working as a product visionary. So as a product visionary, your proficiency will be void until you perform a new self-analysis and reflect and decide on your own proficiency on that role. And that could be on a timeline from, 1 month to 6 months, for instance. It's not really a close timeline, but you can do it when you feel free and comfortable to do it. And so these levels, they describe behavior, values, knowledge, and characteristics that an individual should attain in order to be proficient in a particular job role. And it is worth mentioning that they are not hierarchical, because their dependencies lie in the substance rather than in the power or control that comes with them. So we usually say that we believe in a hierarchy by influence and not by authority. So you accept what someone else says because you recognize their value and their knowledge, and not because of the title or the role they hold. And as your proficiency grows from follow to inspire, our impact has an effect on our product to our organization. And so follow, assist, and apply are expected to have an impact in the product or project inside your own team, the first 3 levels. Enable and advise should have an impact in your domain. And this domain goes beyond your product or your team. And in fact, discovering your own domain is part of the challenge. It's part of the challenge that you need to embrace when you have these 2 levels. So if you have something you really excel at, that is your domain. How you leverage this domain beyond yourself and your own team is also part of the challenge. And finally, influence and inspire are broader levels that should have an impact in our organization. And of course, all of this is only possible to attain with continuous feedback. So feedback is always present along the journey. And we believe career progression is based on the contribution each individual has to offer. Which knowledge do you have developed and which knowledge you are able to share? And for these reasons, progression should be focused on developing ourselves and others around us. It's not just about me. More traditional feedback involves telling people how we evaluate their performance and behavior in order to understand how we can enable and support them to perform better. But we believe that this can be very effective, but only in situations where the actions and the knowledge necessary to perform that job can be objectively well-defined in advance, which doesn't happen within software development environments. And so feedback must be seen as an essential part of your growth and a tool to support mastery. So for the mastery process, what's next? We have a mastery internal tool that we are developing, and that supports us on our self-analysis, on selecting our facilitator. We can have a history of all our goals and all of our analysis. We have a Kanban board inside the tool, and you can see your goals. If they are ongoing, if they are done, you can define dates to achieve them. We are also pursuing team self-analysis, so doing this inside your own team and as a team and not as an individual. This is something that we are developing. Have a facilitation with more than one facilitator. Could also be interesting to have different perspectives, people with different experiences. Could be a more open conversation also. We have open sharing sessions for the facilitators so they can gather together and share their experiences, tips to improve the conversation. We have already in place workshops where the facilitators are trained to become better facilitators, to know, to learn what it is to be a facilitator. And the last thing that we try, which is quite recent, are the tribes. We call My Best Self Project, and you have a small group of peers that join every 3 months, and they support each other on creating a solid mastery plan and challenge you to stretch yourself, basically. And so this is the overview of the process. So thank you for listening and enjoy your journey. And as this is a lot of storytelling, that's why I ask only 4 questions at the end, because I know all of this is quite complex and I'm not able to enter into all details. So now I'm counting on your questions to deep dive on some topics. So that's it.
So is this a point where you're going to allow for Q&A?
Mhm.
Okay, fine.
It is.
Any questions from anyone?
Nothing in the chat now.
I love the Miro journey. Really nice.
I can share the board. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, I can share the board if you want to see more details.
Mm. Are you putting on the chat?
Yes, I will. So it's on the chat now. So any questions?
Any questions for Diana?
It's out of your expectation. Was that much different that you are out of words?
Hi, Diana.
Hello. Hello.
Nice to meet you again. This is very condensed, of course, but I was maybe expectations.
Okay.
Always difficult to manage. But I was thinking that you were going to address. I did not get exactly how you have this process, but how do the teams, I mean, in terms of progression, in terms of salaries or promotion, how does this become effective for us, for the individual and for the team? So I did not exactly understand that.
Yeah. Okay. No. Probably I was resume. So maybe focus on the lightest part of it. But yeah, I had that question before because at the end this will replace what we have traditionally as a performance review. So you will not evaluate anyone. People will learn about each level, and they will understand what they are, if they are a follower, if they are an assistant, if they are an applicant, and where is their impact, how these attributes are consolidated or not, and they will propose their own proficiency. And so we see all the journey of mastery, we are focused on the person and not the company or so. If you grow and if you develop yourself and if you are happy inside your team and if you are doing a good job and if you are well with yourself, the company will have that return, that consequences. So if you want, so this is the part of I think this may answer your question about performance review. So because I will not match entirely with the traditional process, but okay, you do your own self-analysis, you decide on your proficiency. That's the first step. Then we have, if we want to discuss salary, the salary part, we have a salary table that is open, public for the entire company, that have salary ranges for each level. And we usually explain that, okay, there is no direct, there is a relation between the levels and the salary, of course, but we believe that is not that much direct. And what we want to avoid is that, okay, I will propose myself as an apply because I want to earn this salary. That is what we want to prevent, this mindset. And so it could not be a direct relation, because as I said, if you change role, your proficiency will change, but your salary will not decrease, right? And so there is a relation with salary, and we try to explain that it is not directly related. But this is a way to map and to try to manage the salary part, but avoiding that people stop to think about themselves and their development just because they need to be developed and need to learn more, and not be just focused on salary. I don't know if I answer your question, Orlando.
I was just curious, this proficiency level that the person self-proposes. So someone has to approve, right? Someone has to review. So, or is it, I cannot say, oh, I am this level and that's it.
Yeah, it's a good question. So for follow, assist, and apply, the first 3 levels, as your impact and your influence and your performance is inside your team, wherever you decide, it will be. For enable and advise, as your impact is on the level of your domain, and your domain goes beyond your team, you may or may not be challenged. So I will not approve your level, but I may need to challenge you to better understand how are you thinking, or if in your self-analysis something is missing, or if I feel that as a company, we don't have enough information or all the information to understand what are you enabling, or who are you advising, and what is your domain. And so I may or may not challenge. For influence and inspire, as the impact and your actuation area is on the organization level, someone from the management team can challenge, may or may not challenge. The idea is the same.
When you said for the previous level, when you say I may or may not challenge, before the management level, who is high?
Okay. Okay. So for enable and advise, that person is myself.
Okay.
as an head of interactions. Okay.
Okay.
And here I need to probably explain that we are organized as units. We have units, and inside units we have teams, and that teams are somehow related on the product they are developed. And for each unit we have these support roles. One of them are the head of interactions, and so I may pose the challenge for enable and advise.
Okay, so I was just wondering if the team as a unit was involved in that process, but as you described, it does not seem to be, or a team as a group of people. Usually it's it's the head of interactions, and then management, right? That's what I understood. Who challenges this self analysis.
To challenge the proficiency itself. Yeah, but the first 3 levels, as I said, as follow, assist, and apply, you will decide on your own, and your team should be involved. So you should share that with your team, and we believe that as the impact is mainly inside the team, so we trust on that support from the team to help you on a wise decision. Yeah. Okay,
thank you.
Question.
I'm also interested on the role of facilitation. So the facilitator in your board. So that facilitator, what does that facilitator do? Is it asking questions and?
Yeah. So the facilitator, it's the best comparison is with the retrospective. So if you need someone to facilitate your thoughts and your perspective, and so that is a person that that will challenge you, also challenge your viewpoints, try to understand your way of thinking and help you to transform your goals on a plan. Let's say, because most of the case people can easily define some goals, but then how can you reach them, and what is the plan to get into that goals? And so the facilitator can support you on that. So it will help you define a better path for your self-development.
And a second question for me is to what extent you advocate actually joint goals, i.e. more than one team member or entire team having like a percentage of common goals within the team?
Yeah, and they can do it. They are free to do it, and we also incentivize that people share their self-analysis within the team. And we can better understand what are your interesting on learning, or what do you want to learn, where do you want to evolve. And if my team knows my goals, we can help each other.
Yeah.
And even define some goals in common. So that's why for next steps, we want to incentivize this to happen inside the team. So you can choose your own goals, of course, and your individual learning needs, but then you can also identify things that as a team you can accomplish, and that will take you further. Sorry? He's not talking with us, right?
I don't think it's talking to us.
Okay.
I just mute him. Okay. Any more questions from anyone?
In the chat, we have a few, right?
Oh, in the chat. Okay, 1 second.
Okay, Justine, how does mastery process integrate with performance review? Did you get some of it or not? Or she's not here anymore?
I don't know if you're talking to me, but yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I think you might have said, but do you train facilitators in the professional facilitator conversation techniques? Exactly. So we have workshops, and we have a kind of a certification. Is not something really that we want to create an elitism. It's not something that it's not something just for a few group of people. Anyone can subscribe for a facilitator training. And you go through a kind of a path of becoming a facilitator. You have several workshops, and you have techniques on how to pose open questions, how to challenge the perspective, how to help to build the plan, the growth plan, the mastery plan. And so, yes, we support our facilitators to have all that tools.
So what was the main challenge that you found implementing this in your own company?
A lot of challenge. The first challenge is this question that all of you made, is people try to bring their old experience and try to fit inside a thing that is different. And so I don't know, I have people that come from consultants or from other environments, which is very healthy and it's part of diversity and we love it. But then the mindset is to, okay, this is a performance review. And it's not. We are trying to do it different, but to make it different, we need that people see it different. So I used to say, usually I say that the model or the process is what you will make out of it. If you look at it as a traditional, it will be traditional. If you use it as the things that we are offering, all the trainings, the workshops, if you try to have an honest conversation with the facilitator without thinking about feedback or evaluation, then it will be different. You see, so for me, that's the main challenge, because it is different in the sense that we are putting all the ownership on the person.
Yes.
And this is hard because first, we are not used to be honest to ourselves, right? Second,
We're not used to do a self-reflection. We're
Yes.
not used to self-assess ourselves.
Yeah, we don't do that with the honesty that we deserve and that we need. Then we are used to have a manager to blame. So if someone is evaluating me, then I can complain. That is bad and that doesn't work. But if myself, me need to decide, well, it's not so easy, right? And I need to argue about my proficiency, and I need to be clear and secure that that proficiency is mine, is deserved, and why. And the challenge should be something positive. We are challenging just to guarantee that the person understands that, okay, what are you enabling? Who are you advisor? Or okay, tell me about your achievements. Tell me about your challenge during this last period of time. And should be something positive. It's not just for, okay, I'm deciding. It's not that. Okay. How is team engagement? Does everyone in your business do this willingly? Sined, are you here? Can you elaborate on your question? How is this team engagement? I'm not sure that I understand this question. Paulo, do you have an idea on this question?
So team engagement, I suppose, how does the team accept the idea? Or how does the team react? And the second question is, does everyone in your business do this willingly? So are they willingly accepting the system
Yeah.
review?
Yeah, if people are engaged on this process, is that the question?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yes. So as I said at the beginning, is for some people at the beginning is a bit hard, mainly for the reflection part. And also it's also very curious to say that people tend to justify themselves, like prove what they did. And we just really don't care of what you did, we care of what you learn.
Good point. Yeah.
Right? And where does it take it? Where that will lead you? Are you now a better person, a better professional? With all
and how does it impact the company you work for, right?
Exactly. So, okay, I did this and this and this, and I have a checklist of things that I achieved, but then what? What is the consequence of that? Oh, I did an awesome workshop, and what? Did you learn? Did your colleagues learn? Did we see something different in the company or within your team after that? And this is also a challenge, and this is also why the challenge exists. Because when I challenge, I need to challenge this. I'm not interested in a list of achievements, so I need to challenge that person to what did you learn?
So I like that because it's a lot about differentiating outcomes and outputs.
Exactly,
so
precisely.
Outputs, people do run sessions or facilitate sessions or do training courses and things like that. But actually, what is the value of doing those things?
Precisely, and there is also where all of this is different, because if you have a huge ladder with a lot of bullet points, people will go after checking those bullet points, and that's it, right? And we have 7 proficiency levels. You will not change your proficiency all the time, and that's why we say that it's not so tightly related with the salary. There is a relation, of course, but you will not be like in the let me see here, 7, right? If you want to follow this year, you will not be, I don't know, an inspiring 2 years, right? Because there are 7 levels. And when you have a huge ladder, you are also incentivizing that people are always changing and progressing, whatever that means, on the ladder. And that's why there is a relation with salary, but it's not about salary. It's about your growth. Okay. Sorry, more questions. Think you might say that? Huh?
There's a question from Paul Fallon, who is, sorry, before that, Pamela Rodriguez.
Yeah. Hi, Pamela.
Is this mastery
I know
process informing in any way promotions and merit increases? Or do you
Or
guys
do
have
you
a different
have-
system for that?
Promotions and merit increases. Bonus, are you talking about that? The bonus part? Merit increases, promotions? Yeah, we don't have it.
Yeah,
Like-
not exactly, because you were mentioning career ladders. So maybe I can, because I think that you already answered my question, so maybe
Okay.
reformulate into another one. So you're saying that there are 7 levels of proficiency. Are those tied to levels inside a specific job career? Or
Good question. Yeah, good question. Thank you for asking that, because I always forget. No, so all the levels are the same for all the roles in the company, which also avoids that huge ladders according to a different role. But that is also a challenge, because okay, what is being an enabler as a software developer, rockstar developer, and what is being an enabler as an head of interactions? And we need to find out what is the difference. What is my domain as a software developer, and what is my domain as an head of interactions or a product visionary? Or it changed, so you need to find out what is your domain. Who or what are you enabling? But the levels are the same for the entire company. And this also, I think, shows and highlights the flat hierarchy that we want to keep and that we believe we have in the company. Yeah. Thank you for your question.
thank you.
Then Paul, also, who are the main influences on this organization framework? Say, for example, Daniel Pink can drive intrinsic motivation, mastery, autonomy, purpose. The main influences.
You mentioned earlier about intrinsic, right? Intrinsic values, intrinsic motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Was that an influence for you? Or for this model?
Yeah, I would say probably. Yeah, it's all about intrinsic motivation, right? Because when we have autonomy as one of our attributes, and also it's one of our values. We value people autonomy over processes is one of our values. I think this autonomy will bring you intrinsic. It's also an intrinsic motivation. And the mastery and the purpose. Well, I cannot say that if just inspire on Daniel Pink, the model, but for sure there is some influences also from here. But I don't know. This was built well by mainly the 4 guys that come from Critical Software, and they are now part of the board of the company. And I say that they work together like for 20 years. They know each other very well. They know what they want, and they have quite experience on all of what is traditional, and they try to build something different. But I don't know precisely where the inspiration comes from. But thank you for that question. I will try to find out. Okay, so I think I answered to all the questions in the chat. Any other questions that you have?
Just following this last question, so because previously someone asked about the work involved in this process, I got the impression that you implemented this some time ago, very recently, but this process was created some years ago. When you entered the company, it was already ongoing, or?
Yeah, it's also a good question. So when I joined the company, we have no process at all because we are at the very beginning. We were back at that time not even 200, and we didn't define any process. And then people start complaining because because they want something. They want a process. They want to understand where they are, how can they evolve. So because all of us are used to have that in companies, and so we start to work on this process, and it has been evolved. We changed a lot of things. For instance, at the beginning, we had 2 moments in the year where you perform your self-analysis. But then it was a mess because it all happens on the same time, and it was very overwhelming for everyone. And so we decided that now it is continuously. You can do it anytime in the year. And I challenge my teams to define a month in the year that they want to do it, and to do it all the team at the same time, because they can support each other, they can help each other on some doubts that they may have. But other people have other strategies, and it works. And this way you can decide based on your workload, right? And you don't need to be forced on a specific time. So we change that. The void is something that we change. So at the beginning, you enter the company and you have a proficiency level. And we learn really fast that doesn't work. And so we remove it and put it as a void. Everyone join as a void, and then you perform your self-analysis and you decide on your proficiency. And so we are changing small things, and here and then we are learning. This tribes things is also a new thing, a recent thing, that is a support in group. It's easier to have, and you also build strong relationships with people, mainly now in the remote. If you interact with that group of people in the regular base, you get more attached, and that's also interesting.
Quick question then.
Yes.
Do you reckon that creates, when you do it as a team, does that create a little bit of competition between the team instead of just helping? Because people might think, you know what, this performance review at the end of the day, in a sense, so I want to be like apply instead of assist, instead of follow. So I will try to put myself as a team a bit better than others. Have you noticed anything like this? Does that kind of competition, or they are really willing to help each other?
Well, I will not say that. Probably there is some people that think that way. Hopefully that people will adapt to our culture, or they will leave. But for now, what I see is, so as a follow, assist, and apply, the 3 first levels, you can decide on your own, but you are learning a lot because you are on the first years of your career, or you are learning everything. So they are also faster levels. You evolve faster. And in that case, you need your team because you need to learn. To enable and advise, you need to have a domain, and the domain cannot be just your team. You need to expand that to other teams that have the same challenge as you have, or they have the same problems, they have the same impediments, or other people in other units, or so you need other people. There's no way around. So I don't see the model incentivizing that competition. And another good things, we don't have a limited number for people in this level or people in that level, which is also something.
Yeah, it was going to be my next question. If you had like a type of bell curve that
No.
happens that you need people in, okay, you don't. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have, and that is awesome because I used to work in other companies where we have that, and it's just not fair, because if people are in that level and you are not allowed to promote, to give that that is fair, yeah, you are just creating a lot of unfair situations in the company. And here we don't have that. And so if you think you are an enable, or if you think you are an inspire, go ahead and propose an inspire, but then lead with your colleagues as an inspire, because they will expect that from you. That is another thing that works, transparency. You can know, we have an internal tool where you can see everyone's proficiency. And so if you are in my team and you propose an inspire, okay, go ahead, Emmanuel. I would like to see you as an inspire, because we challenge this transparency and also expectations, right? If you are an inspire, I will expect
Be inspired.
be inspired by you, so please inspire me.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
and yeah, so in that sense, I don't see it as a competition. But
Fair enough.
yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for your question.
Any more questions?
You talk with someone, and then you said, "Oh, I was thinking about. I talked with you a couple of hours in the morning, but I was checking your level. You are inspired, but I'm not inspired."
I didn't
Come on,
inspire.
is that what you do? Is that what you do in the company?
Please solve my problem. I didn't feel inspired.
I think that there are different ways of inspiring others, right? So we inspire by our presentation skills, by the way we present, by the way we coach, the way we facilitate sessions.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways of inspiring others.
Yeah, that's why it works. You have the same levels for all the roles, because there are different ways of doing it, and we need to respect that. We are people. We are different. We will do things differently. So let's create room for it. And when we put too many rules and too many processes, and you are putting people inside boxes.
Yeah. And what I like about this is actually, it's a two-way system in a sense that, I'm aware that someone has put inspire as one of his goals or her goals. And, I'm now aware, so I will be looking to be inspired. So many times we are not aware, and therefore we're not open for that inspiration to come in. And before, and it's quite bad if someone put a lot of effort to inspire others, but there is no openness from the others to be inspired from. Yeah. So, you can only inspire as much as the person wants to be inspired.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And that's why also you can navigate through the organization. You don't need to be stuck in your team, or you don't need to be stuck in a role that you realize that you are not identified with anymore. And that's why the concept also of domain is important. What is my domain? It's C++ is my domain. Okay, could be, but it's facilitation skills. My domain could be a lot of things, and that's open for other opportunities and for things to emerge, right? And also that we can really learn with the people inside the company. And when I said that the challenge should be something positive, is also on that sense. I need to be, when I challenge someone on their proficiency, I need to be open-minded enough to be convinced by that person that I'm wrong. And I need to have that mindset, because if I'm all about certainties, well, then we are on the traditional model. So I have questions in my challenge. And probably I'm not seeing it right, and the person are right, and let's go for it. And we use it as a motivation also. So you are proposing for enable. I'm not seeing it enable, but then you explain me why you want enable. Okay, let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's give it a try. Probably you are at the beginning of an enable.
Yep.
And I'm not seeing it, but so it's a range, is not something black or white. Yeah. And another thing that I like in the company and in the process is that we avoid to create rules and we manage the exceptions. So if you have too many rules, you will block people. You will not allow people to inspire others, right? So let's manage the exceptions, because we are afraid of the exceptions, but they are few. So let's try to manage them, right? So for instance, we were discussing about how many times can you propose a proficiency per year, let's say. We are trying to create a rule for that, because probably we are afraid that there is people that will propose a different proficiency every month. But if that happens, we should approach that person and understand, why are you doing that? Let's sit and understand. Did you understand the process or not? Are you uncomfortable with something? Did you not understand what we are trying to do with the mastery? And so try to manage the exceptions and avoid to create too many rules. Because usually rules, they stay, right? Then we do not delete them. We create them and they stay on the system, on the company. And so we avoid to do that. And I think that's a great principle. Okay.
Any last question from anyone? We are approaching the top of the hour.
One question.
Yeah, Miro.
So, so recently, a few months ago, I did implemented in my organization. It's like a teamwork as a coefficient to the turnover. Let's say, like when the team achieves some kind of good sales, everyone divided by the number. Let's say I put some kind of number, how much, how were they good in teamwork. So, and then I divide this money to all the people. So do you think that this approach is good or bad?
It's just a quick question, just to clarify. Do you do a 360 review so other team members will have to give an opinion as well?
No, I just do.
So it's plainly your opinion.
Yeah, I just do my opinion and I explain why I gave them like a 40% on teamwork and not 50 or 60. So I said, look, like in my opinion, this could be 100% if you did this and that. So I divide the money for all of them concerning what I think. So is it too cruel?
No, it's not too cruel. You are not a bad person, let me understand. Let me better understand. So you are dividing the bonus through among the people inside the same team, or you have several teams and you need to divide?
Yeah, different teams. Doesn't matter if they are connected to that. So because I would like to achieve team level across the units.
Team level across the units. Okay. Okay, I will challenge that
okay,
by let's say as an experiment. I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah, it is experiment. Yeah.
Okay, as an experiment, they should propose the percentage for their team, and they should justify.
Okay.
And then you can argue with them. Okay, why? Questioning.
Okay.
Or you can define even more crazy idea, like, but then I don't know, I don't know your context, but I will put it on the table anyway, which is you can give the teams the freedom to decide how they will divide the bonus inside the team.
Okay. My idea was to try to build teamwork. So because they ask for bonuses, and I said, okay, if I give you the bonus, so you will not support your colleague. So I said, okay, here's the bonus, but you should all divide concerning how much you help each other. So that was how it came. Does that answer your second challenge?
Yeah. And I think it might work, but you need to, I would say, invest a lot in your culture to have a healthy relation among everyone. And so they understand that as a good incentive and not as a way of kill all my colleagues so I can have all the bonds.
Yes, that was the idea.
And that is about it. That is about culture, right? It's about what you incentivize, what kind of values you have, and what kind of values people are living, not just writing on the SharePoint or a wall. But yeah, I will go for the first option. Like, okay, tell me why and what kind of amount I should give to your team, and let's have a conversation about it.
I was afraid that they will ask for more than I think that they.
Okay, but then you need to be honest, and you need to.
Okay.
Like that.
But that was a very good question, Miro.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking. Because I think we're all learning on this stuff, especially those who are in the management position.
Yeah. We all suffer with this. We're
also in the same trouble, right?
Yeah.
And the worst is our conscience, right? So are we being fair to everyone? And sometimes, we're not, right? Sometimes it's unfair. And sometimes people tell us that, sometimes people don't tell and just suffer in silence. That's the issue as well.
Yeah, and then that kind of things you don't solve with a performance review. You solve with the entire culture that you work and invest and put effort on. So when you have those moments, people can be transparent and honest, and they can openly talk to you.
Okay. Thanks.
Any more questions from anyone? I think we're over then. So Diana or Deanna, I'd like to thank you very much for this excellent session. I loved the Miro. So it was not death by PowerPoint this time. It was actually a lovely journey on Miro.
I hate
which it's a change. It's a change for us. And now with Miro, Mural, and other tools such as those really make a massive difference, and people connect a lot better, I suppose. So thank you so much. I learned a lot, and it was really a pleasure to be here. And thank you so much for everyone who attended. So we've had 44, I think, at the peak, which for an August day, I think it's really good. It's good attendance.
Right.
So I'd like to just complete by saying that we're doing these sessions once a month now, not twice, but once a month. In the next session, it's going to be on the September 15th. So 15th of September, same time, 6:45 UK time or Portugal time, same time. So BST. And it's going to be, we're going to have Jasper Verderum, who is going to talk to us about agile coaching from the trenches. So a coach talking from the trenches, and he's talking about, the topic is team reboots and self-selection. So if you want, you can read the abstract from our Meetup site. So it's going to be September 15th at 6:45 GMT +1. So, and with that, I end the session today. So thank you so much. The recording will be available. A few people have already asked me to email the link, so I will email, and the recording will be also available through the Meetup board for Scrum event. So if you'd like, you can take the link from there as well. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and don't forget, keep attending these sessions. They are, it's a group for you guys. So for more, for all of us to connect and to learn from each other. So thank you so much, Diana.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.